In 5 seconds, you will experience
School bus massacre.
Hey there, it's UKHHN with his Halloween Horror Nights 24 review. So, should this review have come as soon as I got back from Orlando? Maybe. But I did want a bit of time to reflect. The event has ended this weekend. Wanted to go through all my photos. Kind of just have a sit down. Let me take it all in, what happened. Now, a lot of you will know that I'm a massive, obviously you can see with the hoodie, Halloween Horror Nights fan. So, this review may come as a big shock to you because you probably expect me to say it was absolutely amazing this year. Well, I kind of thought it was far from it. Now, we'll talk a lot about certain things, scare zones, etc. During the review. This probably may be a 2-part review, and there's quite a lot to talk about, but I just felt there's a lot of things I wanted to talk about. Like when I came back, I wanted to make sure I was right in what I was saying. I wasn't just kind of a little bit disappointed or a little bit over the top with certain analysis, certain aspects of the event. So I'll do the houses first, and then I'll talk a little bit about scare zones, which there wasn't really much to talk about. Talk about the kind of atmosphere, the vibe I got during the event, and then we'll just have a little bit of a play around discussion. I'll try and incorporate some of the photos from my Unmasking the Horror tour. Obviously there was 2 houses I didn't go in, which was, one was Dracula, thank God, and the other one was Giggles and Go, which turns out to be one of my favourite houses of the event. And then obviously we'll just go from there. So the first house I'm going to do is this one, which is Dracula Untold. So Dracula Untold, we all know we got kind of put in there last minute. It's a new film that's coming out. Well, it's already out, I should say now. I've seen the film. It's okay. It's more kind of action, excuse me, and horror. But the thing with this year was there wasn't anything where I was absolutely amazingly looking forward to going to. The year before, Cabin in the Woods, love that movie. Absolutely love that movie. So I wanted to go in that house. Plus, I also knew there was quite a lot of crazy shit they could do in that house, which, you know, if they pulled half of it off, it'd be great, but they pulled all of it off. It was an amazing house. American Wealth in London has been a film from my childhood, obviously, so it's quite a long way back. Not revealing my age, but yeah. So, American Wealth in London and Cabin in the Woods were 2 houses looking forward to. The Walking Dead, obviously I'm a massive zombie fan. I love Dawn of the Dead, the original. You know, we got this by the ass. But yeah, so anything to do with zombies really, I'm kind of like half lean towards that. I know a lot of people don't like The Walking Dead, and it's come back for the 3rd year and probably will come back for the 4th. But yeah, so I kind of loved last year. I thought the houses were great. I thought we got spoiled, and obviously we always took me and Dr. Brown was saying the same. This year, I've been coming up to the event, and maybe last year we got spoiled. But we do have different contrasting views on certain houses, which would be great. So make sure you check out Psycho Massacre Films review, which is on now, which is an excellent review. And Dr. McBrown, should imagine he'll be doing this very soon. And Horror Night Update, we should be doing our review this weekend. So stay tuned for that. So anyway, Dracula had a nice facade. Kind of the dead bodies, the kind of shields lying around. One thing I will say is I didn't quite like the fact that as people were going in, there were people coming out right side by side, which may be just a little bit of a pet, but there was kind of people coming out saying things about the house, which if you hadn't been in the house before, it kind of ruined. The other thing I could also hear, the predator noise. I won't pretend I won't try and do the noise, but I could hear sometimes the Predator noise as I was queuing for the house, as I was inside, just where the facade was. I know this is a little bit of a niggle, and I suppose I have to say, but the handrail on the ramp to where the facade is, as you're inside the as you go through the elephant doors, as you're there walking up the ramp where the facade is, the handrail handrail kind of takes me out the moment that I'm not actually there, even though obviously we all know it's fake, but etc. It's not real. I'm not actually going to Dracula's tomb, etc. But there, the handrail, it kind of, I was like, handrail. Now I know they got to have it for disability reasons. Well, yeah, it kind of took me out the moment. Got a nice facade from like years back, and it's all supposed to be a cave and Roman era, etc. Whatever. And then we've got a nice handrail just put up there just to make sure we can get into his cave. So it was nice of him. Also, as you got onto the top part of the facade, there was a statue. Now, I honestly thought at first the statue was going to be like Winter's Night, where the statue then does something. It didn't. I thought it was kind of wasted there. I thought it felt a bit empty. We went in. Dracula comes out straight away sometimes, which is another thing I'll go through. You had the old vampire who turns into Dracula. He popped out. You did actually have a statue inside the house that turned round, and then. But the thing with this house was it was nice to look at. In a sense, it was. I'd say this year's Resident Evil. But I just thought it was really poor. It wasn't scary at all. The one thing I do remember which I thought was quite good was the double scare. The guy comes out to attack you in the village, and then Dracula jumps out behind him, bites him. I thought it was kind of good, but on 2 occasions I walked through this house and got one scare. I walked through this house 5 times, I should say that, but on 2 occasions, one night I got 1 scare, if you want to call it a scare. Guy jumped out and we were burning in the hut. But the next time I got none, absolutely none. I'm not exaggerating because I'm not trying to just put down a house. This is a review, what I believe is truthful. Now, I think there's about 4 people in front of us. There was my brother in front and a couple. They got every scare. Now we didn't get anything. I'm not saying that. It's as a scare to myself. It's hard in the dark to pick who you're going to jump out of. But I just thought it was really, really. I mean, the queues this year. Let's be honest, the queues were horrendous this year. We was walking in houses and start a lot of houses. Too many people being sent in at one time to rush people through. That is something that needs addressing now. That takes you out of the event. I think this year was probably one of the worst. And I always go in the first 3 weeks of the event when it's not as busy. So only God knows what it was like for people who went on the nights where it was when it was hell week, because I probably would have hung myself. With Dracula though, yeah, there wasn't anything in there that I thought was great. There wasn't anything in there really I thought was good. We have these things over here called the London Dungeons, and it kind of felt a bit like that when you was going through the town. The witches didn't look great. I've looked at the video of Hollywood's. Hollywood's looks miles better, and people were slagging Hollywood's off. So if they're slagging Hollywood's off, if you saw Orlando's, it would poor for me. Some people prefer this house, and I've said this house was their best house. I, for the life of me, cannot understand that. So, on that note, Dracula was my least favourite house, and it's probably my least favourite house that has been in the last few. I don't know actually. Havoc was bad last year, but yeah, it just seems that we have to have an appalling house every year, and this was it. So this sucked. It wasn't a great advert for the movie. If anything, it made you not want to go and watch the movie. So Dracula Untold, it should have stayed untold. It should have stayed in the kind of storeroom, all the stuff there, and I would rather walk around an empty building scratching my testicles than go through this pile of shit. So that was Dracula Untold, pardon my French. Alright guys, so the next house for the review is going to be Roanoke. Now, this was one of the original content houses this year, obviously with Dollhouse of the Damned and Giggles and Go. Out of 3, I thought this was the worst one now. spoke before about, I said I'm not really going to gloss over things and say everything was amazing. Now this was in the parade building. The facade was cool in one way. It was absolutely huge. The dead corn added to the effect, the smell, the eerie kind of look. As if like the gates as you go into the Roanoke, it definitely looked like it was like a real setting. I just thought it was too big. It was a massive room. Now you can remember from the Walking Dead house from last year. How many rooms would you have thought that the Roanoke facade would have took up? Obviously you had Milton's room, you had the governor's daughter's room. So in the space of just the facade, we're probably using the space for probably about 2-3 rooms minimum. So I thought it kind of took up quite a lot of space. And again, though, there was quite a lot in the house, so it didn't really take away from it. It was quite a big maze. Like I said, the facade was good. I just thought it was too big. There was no scares. There was 2 actors in there, but they didn't kind of do anything, because if you stayed in the middle where the queue was actually walking through, the scares from either side kind of didn't really immerse you. It didn't immerse you into it because they were too far away. So you didn't have that kind of, you know, it's not at one point did you not feel safe with the actors coming at you. So there was that. Now over in this country we have a thing called the Dungeons. We have Blackpool. They just opened one in San Francisco, I think earlier this year. Now that's what this house came across as, like an horrible histories. The Dungeons we have over here, they're all about like the Pendle Witches, which is the gunpowder plot, which is obviously Guy Fawkes v Vendetta, etc. It felt like that, like it was kind of showing you something what they thought may have happened in the history of Roanoke. Obviously that was what they were saying. People started eating each other due to having no food, etc. Also, it didn't really come across in the house. You have to probably know the backstory, but at no point did we didn't get that there was obviously supposed to be sick, claiming that the Wendigo spirit had overtaken him, and that was while he was eating people. And obviously they was doing the sacrifice to the Wendigo at the end, but people probably walked through that and didn't have a clue what was going on. Just thought it was a sacrifice as such. So I'd say it looked great. All the way through the house looked amazing. There was some great effects, like the person burning. There was like a burning smell, and the way they did the effects with like the kind of coal lighting up as he would lay on it. I thought that was amazing actually, to be honest. The skull and bones kind of ghillie suit scare, that was a quite good scare, I'll be honest. Also did use that scare in Dollhouse of the Damned, which we'll talk about later on. Yeah, there was a few effects that were good, like the bearded man who would jump out the seat, etc. But the best room for me was the tobacco room. The smell was great. It was immersive. The tobacco leaves as you went down, as you pushed through and all. Plus it got the best scare where as you walked out the room, the guy come from above, similar to the Cabin in the Woods house with the Guttners or whatever it was called. In Cabin in the Woods, in one of the first scenes, the scare from above, you don't expect it whatsoever. Some people did like the kind of, they had the animal pens and they had people inside there. That was quite good. And I did enjoy the house to an extent. Me and my brother and wife went through the last house night, and we was the only people in the house, I should say, at that time. So we got every single scare. Now we did enjoy that, but the problem is with Halloween Horror Nights, as we all know, which is main problem is the crowd control. Too many people in there now, and now they're just rushing people through, so you don't really get the experience. So as the reviews have gone on for years, it's kind of similar to that now, where it's, if you can get a chance to go in on the houses without anyone in front of you, just do it. It's completely different for going in your kind of conga line queue. But yeah, just thought like the Roanoke, it was an okay house. The backstory didn't come across in the house. People who don't have a clue about the backstory would have walked in and just thought it's just people eating each other, which basically it is. But the story of Wendigo or this tribe didn't come through at any point, I thought, other than the end scene where they had the Wendigo guy on the stilts there, and also the skull and crossbones type thing on the wall, and also a little nod to Resident Evil with the dog as you left the building. So yeah, I thought it was more of a performance house where the actors were doing a performance rather than a scare. which came across it came across quite well, but like I say, it wasn't really a scary house, it was more a visual house. So yeah, did I enjoy it? Not really too. I enjoyed it to an extent, but I didn't think it was great. So that's another house. So now I may give these houses rating out of 10 at the end. I'm just going to talk really through the houses, and then I'll go through. So that was Roanoke. Next house we're going to talk about is From Dusk Till Dawn. Now, this house kind of, when we knew it was coming, it didn't really do anything for me. I've seen the movie, I kind of like the movie, I don't say I love it, but the old problem is with the houses, well, the movie or the TV show, is a lot of it's set in the bar. Now, in the film, if you was doing it based on the film, you'd have no chance of doing an house. It's just in the bar, there's not really much to it. They did some TV shows, so there was a little few things they could add, but all in all, it was just too much like Vampire Bloodbath in 2007, was it? Yeah, 2007, HHN 17. But same sort of thing, women dancing, jumps out. So, we'll start with Facade. Facade was great, the titty twister, or twister as they just called it, obviously for reasons that have got kids going, so you can't say titty, but you can have someone being impaled. So, anyway. Guy at the front of the house was great, the actor. There was two of them, two different ones that I spotted all the time. They were funny. I thought it was immersive. They had a laugh with the crowd. Just a little tidbit for people. The bikes outside the Facade were actually the same bikes used at HHN 17 for Jack the Clown's Roman Clowns, scare actors. So a little thing for you. As I said, the house reminded me of Vampire Bloodbath. Now, I thought that a lot of the rooms were too big. You never got that feeling that you was kind of like, where you was think someone's going to jump out, and then a light would go off and you jump because you're just that scared. I just thought the rooms were too big that you could see a lot of things coming. The actors obviously had the rope things, which is like a strip club, I should imagine. I should say. Because there was that rope kind of thing there, you kind of never got the feeling that they was going to come out and get you. I think that may have been there as well to protect the actors due to a lot of drunken people going in and probably thinking that you could just decide to get in and have a nice little strip dance with them, which would never have happened. So there was a lot of rooms like the sacrifice room where Gary Busey's son is lay on the table. Now it was like one actor at best. Now we did get told on the tour, that's the Unmasking the Horror tour, that room and two other rooms, so it must be one either side, the actors can roam. Whether or not they decided that by having too many actors in that time the other rooms would be empty or not, but I do believe that it needed quite a few more actors in there because it was kind of empty. You expected something to happen, you was looking around, they could have come from anywhere, and it just didn't happen. And I thought it was a nice room, but yeah, nothing amazing. Again, there was a lot of dummies, looked like dummies, I should say, as well. So, and there wasn't really anything that stood out as such. The end scene was absolutely huge, and it was good in one sense, but I thought it was good to look at, and it wasn't really scary. Now, as you come in the bar, the actual bar scene with the pumps on, that's out of American Wealth in London. If anyone noticed, it had the old English pumps on there, Boddingtons, etc. You had the one vampire come out the side there, and then you walk around and you had the Gecko brothers. You had Richie who'd already been bit, but he hasn't turned yet, and you shoot the big vampire. Now the big vampire that comes out from the front of you, and goes flying back in, he should have stayed out a bit more because he was a bit more imposing, a bit more scary, but as he got shot, he flies back in. Here's the other thing, there was a big stage with, is she called Selena? I'm not 100%, well, she's on the stage now, and you've obviously got the girl with the chainsaw, which is exactly the same as Evil Dead last year. The chainsaws never really scared me, to be fair, but the stage again was like Doomsday. It was nice to look at, just not scary. It's a massive, massive area, and they just put something there to look nice, not be scary. I did like a little touch with the guitar, that's like the film. I've only seen bits of the TV show, so it probably isn't a TV show as well, but the guitar made out of human parts, like a leg or an arm and a face, etc. That was in there, so that was a nice little touch. But yeah, it just wasn't it just wasn't great. It didn't really scare me. Same again, I went through sometimes, never got one scare given to me, but I appreciated what it was trying to do with the house. I just didn't think it was great. It was similar to what to Resident Evil. It was nice to look at, but just not scary. Plus, Vampire Bloodbath in 17 was better, I thought. So that's From Dusk Till Dawn. Yeah, it's Dusk Till Dawn. The next house I'm going to review is Aliens vs Predator. So, what did I expect before I went? Well, I'm not too sure, because the Alien vs Predator franchise doesn't really excite me. I like Aliens and I like Predator, but when the two got together as a film, I thought it was poor. So, what was the house going to bring? Now, from the beginning, I didn't think it was going to be scary, which it wasn't. Did I think it was going to be cool, good to look at? Yeah. Was it? Parts of it were, parts of it didn't really work for me now. The facade was cool, but from what I was told was when you saw the Predator's targets, that a Predator was supposed to be around, I meant the Predator was supposed to be coming. There was supposed to be a Predator at the front of the facade, apparently around about the area on top of the building, but that didn't work out. The one thing I will say is, considering we were supposed to be going into a facility, I felt more like we was on a spaceship. Felt more like we was in the house from, was it 2009, or was it 2008? I can never remember. I think it might be 2008 Interstellar Terror. It just felt like it was on the same spaceship as that. It didn't really feel like it was in a facility. The other thing as well, which is it's not really their fault. The Predators, the guys, they're just too big. If they jump out somewhere, or didn't even have to jump out, you can see them a mile off. So there wasn't that surprise factor. Similar to when they had the Jason house in the Jaws queue at 2007, you could see them a mile off, so there was kind of no surprise going on there. But they did a good job. They're not really scary though, so just cool to look at. I thought the human actors the human characters, the doctor with the acid on his face and the other guys just get out. I didn't really think there was any need for them in there, rather than another Predator or something. I like that they put the Marines in there, colonial Marines there. That was a nice little touch. I just felt like things like were cheap, like the facehugger. The facehugger in the jar was alright, but the ones at the windows really just felt like a cheap effect. Like it just kind of come up and it just slowly go down. Didn't really look great. Now the aliens, maybe it was just they were good, but it was exactly what I expected. There was similar, if not on the same level as the great movie ride at Hollywood Studios Disney. Now it was cool, but was it an overkill for American Werewolf in London last year? To have a similar scare again. I mean, don't get me wrong, we obviously use the same sort of scares, but you saw it a mile off. With American Werewolf in London, it was the first year they'd done anything like that. But this year, it was exactly the same sort of thing, but it was kind of cool. They were cool, to be honest. The one from above, etc., and the one in the crawl tunnel and the marine. I thought was good. I loved the best room in the house was the egg room. I loved that how it's cold, etc. You can hear all the eggs cracking open. Thought it was a nice little touch. Yeah, so Aliens vs Predator, I thought it was just okay. I didn't think it was great. I didn't think it was bad. I thought it was nice to look at. I didn't think it was scary in any sense whatsoever. I got a jump every now and again, but it was more of a wasn't a scare. Not at one point did I go through the house thinking scared there or feel immersed in a world. Yeah, it's a good house. Not great. Nowhere near as good as American Werewolf in London. But yeah, it's overall a nice house. So appreciate what it tried to do here. Would I want another Aliens vs Predator house, Halloween Horror Nights? Probably not, no. An Aliens house, maybe, yeah, an Aliens house, but never a Predator house or an Aliens vs Predator house. Just my view, unfortunately, so that's that one. Next one. Dollhouse of the Damned. Now, Dollhouse of the Damned, before I start, I must say that Mr. Kane Van Der Veen, who I know was the character in this house, but this will not cloud my judgment for any part of this review, just so you know. So, the facade was great. Like Layer Owner last year, excellent facade, probably one of the best. Obviously The Walking Dead was the best, but it was a nice touch. They could have gone a lot cheaper with it, but they actually made a brilliant facade. The thing with the house was, to me, the story, the backstory of the house that was told, or if you read it on the website, didn't come across. I should point that out to me. It felt just like a load of random rooms in a house made of dolls. Basically, that's what it was. It was just a random house. Nothing. There was no story kind of being told, etc. But I did appreciate the house. I get a lot of people said it wasn't scary, it was creepy. I didn't really find, there was parts of it that were a bit like disturbing, as such, the baby room, because of the smell of obviously baby poo, and the baby's faces were a bit strange. But yeah, overall I thought it was a nice house. I kind of get the idea it was doing. I enjoyed the idea what it was trying to get across. I like the fact that, like, obviously, if you, the walls that were breaking apart, they had dolls inside them. I loved the toy box room, the music box room with the little mechanism with the hands and arms on, etc. I love that. I also loved the little kind of cubes that I noticed on the tour when it said "Just Die" in their wooden blocks. Also, the room which my good friend Kane Van Der Veen was in was the room that was dedicated to ventriloquism dolls, and also I think it was called Edgar Berger, was it, or something, the guy from the 50s, and his doll was in there. Also you had Billy from Dead Silence. You had quite a few of them in there. You had the Mexican doll, which was my good friend Kane Van Der Veen. Also there was the dolls like Teddy Ruxpin, the Cabbage Patch dolls, the Chucky doll in the room with the guy with all the ghillie suit on. They had the woman that reminded me of Insidious, who was making the dolls and going, "Pretty, I make them pretty," and all that. I thought it was quite creepy. It's the same thing again. I kind of enjoyed the house on the sinister side. What we're trying to come across to, there was no story, so basically you went in and just enjoyed what was happening in each room. There was no need to try and connect anything. You just went with the flow, and whatever was in the room, you just embraced it, and it was kind of I kind of found it funny and scary in a sense. I thought the stage with the puppet on with strings, I loved that part. I thought it was great, visually great kind of effect, and then obviously it distracts you for the Mexican doll to jump out. So yeah, Dollhouse of the Damned. Like I say, I love the mummy cleaning the baby. Oh, and also here's a little thing for you. If you ever noticed the mummified people in the walls, and there was holding the babies, all the babies were absolutely brand new, clean babies. Now, I don't know if that was anything to do with some sort of backstory to why the mummified ones had fresh babies, or they just hadn't been dirtied up, but that was something if anyone noticed in there. A massive doll heads at the end eating people kind of reminded me of La Llorona from Hollywood, with the woman that's eating people. So yeah, that was Dollhouse of the Damned. I enjoyed this house. Did think it was amazing? No, but I thought it was good for what it was. I thought it was a good solid house. I enjoyed this house better than Aliens vs Predator, Dracula, From Dusk Till Dawn, and Roanoke. So yeah, I thought it was a good house. That was Dollhouse of the Damned.